As the investigation continued to stall, police gradually realized that the key to the case did not lie in locating the crime scene, but in answering a more fundamental question: who was the victim? Only by confirming the victim's identity could the fragmented logic of the case begin to take shape. Investigators began a systematic review of recent missing persons reports across Nanjing. Their focus narrowed to three primary groups. First, individuals who had lost contact but were never formally reported missing. Second, women living alone with limited social circles. Third, individuals connected to universities. It was within these overlapping categories that investigators began to notice a recurring pattern. Most of these individuals were young, generally in their early 20s. They were from outside the city, studying or residing in Nanjing temporarily. They shared no obvious disputes, no complex relationships, and no known conflicts. Precisely because of this, their disappearance did not initially raise immediate concern. At the same time, forensic analysis of the remains continued. Examiners confirmed that the dismemberment was not the result of emotional loss of control, but a deliberate and purposeful process. The cuts were clean, joint separations were accurate. This suggested that the perpetrator either possessed relevant experience or carried out the act with an unusually high level of composure. More importantly, no clear signs of prolonged struggle were found on the remains. This forced investigators to consider a troubling possibility that prior to sustaining fatal injuries, the victim may not have realized that danger was imminent. Quietly, the direction of the investigation began to shift. Police moved away from searching for evidence of violent confrontation and instead began examining relationships built on trust. They reviewed cases in which a missing woman had recently spent extended periods alone with someone she knew. It was during this phase that a seemingly minor detail drew attention. While reviewing access records from university dormitories, investigators identified one female student whose activity pattern appeared unusual. Her campus card had been used at multiple locations, yet she herself had not been seen publicly again. Classmates later recalled that shortly before losing contact, she had mentioned that she was going to meet someone she knew. No one knew who this person was. At the time, no one recognized the significance of that statement. As the investigation progressed, police increasingly believed that this student was highly likely to be the victim in the case. But a critical question remained. If the victim's identity was now close to being confirmed, how had the perpetrator remained undetected for such an extended period of time? The answer, investigators suspected, was not to be found on the streets. It was likely located within an ordinary indoor space, a place that attracted no attention, raised no suspicion, yet could exist undisturbed over a long period of time. By this stage, the case had revealed several deeply unsettling characteristics. First, the act was not spontaneous, but carefully prepared. Second, the victim likely entered the crime environment under a state of trust. Third, the perpetrator demonstrated a level of risk control far beyond that of an average offender. Police understood that they were no longer dealing with a simple act of violence. They were confronting a patient, rational, and highly restrained individual. The investigation was about to enter its most critical and most dangerous phase. The next step was no longer about locating remains, but about finding that person.